Bernie Sanders made some news this morning on Morning Joe. Let's see what he said.
Vote for Hillary Clinton in November?
Yes. Yeah, I think the issue right here is I'm going to do everything I can to defeat Donald Trump. I think Trump, in so many ways, will be a disaster for this country if he were to be elected president. We do not need a president whose cornerstone of his campaign is bigotry, is insulting Mexicans and Latinos and Muslims and women, who does not believe in the reality of climate change when virtually every scientist who has studied this issue understands we have a global crisis. This is not somebody who should become president. What my job right now is to fight for the strongest possible platform in the Democratic Convention. And as we speak in St. Louis, that's going on right now. And that means a platform that represents working people, that stands up to big money interests. And that's what we're trying to do.
So your vote will be a vote for Hillary Clinton or against?
Well, I don't want to parse words right now. What I am trying to do right now is to make sure that the Democratic Party becomes a party that represents working people, not Wall Street.
So
that is prepared to have an agenda that speaks to the need of creating millions of jobs, raising the minimum wage to $15 an hour, dealing with climate change, dealing with pay equity. Those are the issues that we need to have, not only in a platform, but we need Democratic leadership to be implemented.
So, Senator, just to put a button on this, you said you'll vote for Hillary Clinton, which means you won't vote for yourself. Have you accepted now that you won't be the nominee?
I'm pretty good at arithmetic, and what I know is that Hillary Clinton has more pledged delegates than I do, and she has a lot more superdelegates than I do. But what I also know is we're bringing 1,900 delegates into the convention, that we have received 13 million votes, and that what I am going to be doing right now, and I'm starting this afternoon, heading up to Syracuse for an event this evening, is we are going to be urging millions of people to get involved in the political process. You may recall last week I did a speech on the internet, and I said, get involved and run for school board, run for city council, run for state legislature. You know how many people responded? 20,000 people. So what we want to do is reinvigorate the Democratic Party, bring new blood in, and have a party that represents working people.
Senator, if you've accepted the arithmetic of the race and you realize that she's likely to become the nominee, why not withdraw from the race?
Why would I want to do that when I want to fight to make sure that we have the best platform that we possibly can, that we win the most delegates that we can, and that we transform. The goal of our campaign was to transform this nation.
So the disunity isn't putting her at any disadvantage against Donald Trump?
You talk about disunity. I talk about involving the American people in the political process and wanting to have a government and a party that represents all of us.
I love how dense the hosts are. They're like, I don't understand. I cannot think about this in any way other than horse race. What is happening? Well, yeah, that's the problem. You can't think about it in any other way other than a horse race. The reality is Bernie Sanders is focused on the issues. He's focused on the substance. He's focused on transforming the Democratic Party and also transforming the country. So if that means that when the time comes, he has to choose between the lesser of two evils and then continue the fight in other ways, he says he'll do it. Okay, that doesn't mean that doesn't mean complete and utter submission to Hillary Clinton in every way and you just fall in line. No, that's not what it means. That's not what it means. Again, it's amazing that they can't break free from this bullshit model that they've bought into. He's very clear. He's been clear from the beginning. And by the way, there are some people who are going to be surprised by this who shouldn't be. So obviously the establishment is surprised. Oh, he says he'll vote for Hillary Clinton. Yeah, he dropped 1,000 hints that he would if it came down to it. But also there's some people in the Bernie or Bust movement who are more Bernie or Bust than even Bernie is Bernie or Bust, who are like, oh, well, I mean, if they're being consistent about their arguments, now he's a sellout, right? Because they call everybody else who says when push comes to shove, if I have to vote for, I'll vote for, they call them a sellout. So is Bernie a sellout? No, because both things can be true at the same time. Bernie is recognizing and he's admitting, hey, if it comes down to it, I will vote for Hillary Clinton to avoid Donald Trump because he's worse. But that doesn't mean we give up on fighting for all our policy positions. That doesn't mean we give up on transforming the Democratic Party and transforming the country. It means like he just did, spawn 20,000 more Bernie Sanders to run for office and to make fundamental change. But every step of the way, you're supposed to be pragmatic and you're supposed to be rational. You don't just check out of the system and blow it up if you don't get everything you want immediately. And again, just so everybody knows, even I'm slightly more Bernie or bust than Bernie Sanders is, because Bernie just said, yeah, if it comes to it, I will end up voting for her. Since I'm in New York, I'm not going to. And I've given everybody my take, which is if you're in a solid red state or solid blue state, yeah, go ahead. Don't vote for her. I don't care. I don't give a shit. I'm not doing it because the state's probably going to go to either Hillary or Trump either way because it's solid red or solid blue. All I said is that if I was in a swing state, I would vote for Hillary to avoid Donald Trump, who is a worse evil. And if you don't want to take my reasons for it, and I've laid them out in detail, and even in an hour-long conversation, or actually I did that twice, 2 conversations about Bernie or bust, where I really got into all the specifics, take his word for it. Because he said, on these 2 things alone, he says, okay, look, obviously, I think Hillary is better. If he's being honest, by the way, he would say lesser of 2 evils, but he's not going to do that. But he says Trump is a bigot, and Trump is against climate change. He doesn't believe in climate change. On those 2 things alone, he's like, I can't, what am I going to do? I'm going to risk that? Like, yeah, there's way too many similarities between Hillary and the Republicans. No doubt about that. She voted for the Iraq War. She voted for the Patriot Act. She was in favor of NAFTA. She was in favor of deregulation. There's a million and one things. I've led the charge in talking about how bad she is in so many ways. But nuance exists. I've said a million times, if you score it on a test, Trump will get like a fucking 4% out of 100, and Hillary might get a 23. Yeah, 23 is higher than 4. You would want that, right? And then the counter argument is, yeah, but they're both Fs. Correct, they're both Fs. But still, would you rather have a 23 or a 4? Which would you rather have? Because it's going to affect your grade point average, because that's going to be factored in. Isn't 23 higher than 4? Don't gloss over the nuance, man. Bernie's not glossing over the nuance. So we have to win on both fronts. We have to win on both fronts. We have to win with this political revolution. We have to win fighting for the policy changes. We have to win transforming the Democratic Party. We have to push it to the left. And yes, Bernie should continue to dangle his supporters in front of Hillary's face and say, hey, look, you're going to get the support if and when you do the right thing. If you don't, well, then sorry, not going to happen. Or you'll get tepid support as opposed to perhaps Bernie campaigning for her and things of that nature. So what matters is the policy specifics, and it matters in every single circumstance. And even Bernie Sanders is saying, Bernie Sanders is slightly to the right of me on this, but even he's saying, yeah, I would vote for Hillary because Donald Trump is worse. So there you have it. And I don't know, there are some people out there who are so rigidly Bernie or bust that if they are being consistent, well, then just come out and say it. Now you think Bernie Sanders is a sellout. Do you think Bernie Sanders is a sellout?